Fasting dates back to centuries and plays a central role in many cultures and religions, as well as research works backing the practice in the medical world. Defined as abstinence from all or some foods or drinks for a set period, there are different ways of fasting, all of which have significant benefits on the general well-being. Now that adherents of the two major religions, Muslims and Christians, have embarked on spiritual fasting of Ramadan and Lent, here on Health Options, we shall serve you with a comprehensive overview of benefits, risks, and considerations associated with fasting and health with the help of an expert on this episode of the program. Not forgetting Nature's Corner, where we shed more light on God's gift to mankind. This is Health Options on the NTA. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim. Welcome. Fasting is said to be the most effective biological method of treatment. It is like an operation without surgery, according to the experts. Little wonder many people take on fasting, be it for spiritual purposes, as a healthy option for weight loss, or as dietary option. Research and experts believe fasting has overreaching impact on wellness. And if you want to know more, sit tight as I have a specialist in the studio who will join us shortly. I have with me a consultant diabetologist and endocrinologist, Dr. Yakubu Lawal. Welcome to Health Options, Doctor.
Thank you, Salwa, for inviting me.
Okay. Beyond the spiritual kind of fasting now, Doctor, medically, what is the place of fasting? Is it recommended?
Yes, fasting, as we know, is recommended in the two major religions, that's Islam and Christianity. It has been found to have both spiritual and physical or health benefits. Here I am going to talk more of the physical and health benefits of fasting.
Of course.
Generally, fasting helps in the total rejuvenation of the body. That means it helps from your head to the toe, it helps in the repair of the body in general. There are certain specific health benefits we can get from fasting. Number one, we'll talk about weight loss, healthy weight loss. You know, when we are talking of weight loss, there is the unhealthy type and the healthy type. So fasting can help us to be able to get a healthy weight loss. Why is it healthy? Because the reduction in your weight is just enough to improve your health. And it also kind of balances your body composition, whereas most of the loss of weight is due to the loss of fat, and there is some increase in the muscle mass, which is healthy. And with the weight loss, it also helps to improve certain conditions. Like for those who have diabetes mellitus, weight loss is one of the prescribed treatment strategy. One other important benefit we can get from fasting is the control of blood pressure. Researchers have also shown that for people that are fasting, blood pressure tend to also be, it's been found that there is some reduction in the blood pressure of those that are fasting. For those that have systemic hypertension already, it's been found that their control becomes better during fasting period. It's also found that even those that don't have hypertension, it also helps in the long run to prevent them from developing hypertension. All these are things that have been tested in researches, and the results were obtained. Fasting also helps to reduce the amount of what we call cholesterol in the blood. Cholesterol is just part of the food we eat. It is necessary in the body, but when it becomes too much, it is not good for the body. So fasting has also been found by researchers that it helps to reduce this cholesterol level, therefore reducing the chances of individuals developing heart diseases, stroke, and even blockage of vessels in the legs. So it's been found that fasting also improves the health of this pathway where our food go through. Generally, for every individual, there are some good bacteria. You know, bacteria is those things that tend to cause harm to us. They cause infection. But there are also good bacteria.
Yes.
So these good bacteria, they help to tame or to suppress the bad bacteria. And you find the two of them in our intestine. So what keeps us in health is that there is a balance between the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. Yeah. It's also been found, and researchers have shown, that during fasting, this balance between the good bacteria and bad bacteria is improved. There is more of the good bacteria, and so it helps in the health of our food pathway.
Okay, doctor. Yeah. Now, can fasting trigger, we've just spoken about the advantages of fasting now. And don't forget, we are abstaining from food and drinks, like we mentioned earlier. But now, can fasting trigger other conditions, for example, people suffering from ulcer?
Yes, it's been found that for those who already had ulcer, what we call ulcer, that's peptic ulcer disease. Yeah. It's been found that they tend to suffer symptoms during fasting. So that is why, for such people, they must approach their doctor before fasting so that the doctor can help prescribe, at least 6 to 8 weeks before fasting, they must approach their doctor. The doctor will assess them and then try to treat them. If they are properly treated and even cured before the fasting, the doctor can recommend such patients to fast. But if they are not properly treated and they have frequent attacks of such fasting, of such symptoms, the doctor may recommend to the patient that he may not fast because of the consequences that can happen. So therefore, it is important that if you have ulcer, that's peptic ulcer disease, you approach your doctor at least 8 weeks before fasting commences so that your doctor evaluates you and assess your fitness to be able to perform the fasting.
Okay. Beyond ulcer, can it trigger other kind of ailments?
Yes. Like we mentioned, issue of fasting helping to reduce the level of sugar in the blood. That's what we call it, the common man called sugar. Yes. So for those who already have diabetes, it is recommended that before they take on fasting, at least 8 weeks before the fasting begins, it is recommended that people who have diabetes means those that constantly have their sugar high that need to be controlled. So when you have diabetes, it is recommended that at least 8 weeks before the fasting, you see your doctor. Your doctor will help to assess you, ask you some questions, if necessary, perform some tests, and decide whether you are fit to fast or not. If your doctor finds out that you are fit, then you go ahead with the fasting, because the fasting itself has positive benefits for persons who have diabetes. Because researchers have also shown that diabetes patients who are fit to fast, when they fast, it helps to control their blood sugar along with the medications they are taking. In fact, it is even some researchers have shown that some of these persons with diabetes, during fasting, they have to reduce their diabetes drugs because the fasting itself helps to control the level of blood sugar in these patients.
Now, is there a limit to how much somebody can fast or for how long somebody can take on fasting, actually medically?
All the same benefits that the Ramadan fasting have found, researchers have also shown that the Lent fasting have such benefits. And it is just meant for 29 or 30 days. So, and then now it depends again on the type of fasting. There are different types of fasting.
Yeah.
The Ramadan fasting, which is just from pre-dawn to sunset usually is not detrimental to the health. Yes, for healthy individuals and for people who are declared to fast by doctors, because these persons eat pre-dawn and they also eat eventually so at sunset. So, but there are other kind of fastings where people may not. There are some fastings which are not necessarily religious fasting, like fasting in terms of starvation. You are in a place where you cannot eat for days. So that one is by circumstances. So such kind of fastings where you have to stay for days, weeks, or those on hunger strike, they fast for days. Those kind of fastings are not healthy because your system cannot accommodate lack of nutrients for such a long period. So your system now has to now fall back on its own body to sustain itself. So eventually, a lot of things are generated in the body that is not good for your health. So therefore, when you are talking of fasting, it has to be within the limit that the body can take. When it goes beyond that limit, especially where it is caused by circumstances, such kind of limit, especially in days or weeks, is usually not healthy for the body.
Okay, doctor. Let's take a breather here. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Kuka, that's the name in Hausa.
That is call it Ose.
In Yoruba.
Ose, Igi Ose.
Okay, so I know it's Kuka.
I am delighted to have you join us on Health Options, the program that not only tracks government policies on health.
The total cholesterol is made up of some components. The high density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol, the low density hypoprotein, which is the bad
Cervical cancer, a type of cancer that develops in a woman's cervix.
There were opportunities for women to get screened for both cervical and breast cancer, maybe up to 30,000, but we'll be having figures of 5,000.
If you just join us, the program is Health Options on the NTA, and we have been talking about the medical benefit of fasting with Dr. Yakubu Lawal, who is a consultant diabetologist and endocrinologist. Many thanks for being there, doctor.
Thank you, Salwa.
So now, doctor, for those that take on fasting especially, I know there are foods that you are required to eat before embarking on that fasting that can sustain you, and also food that when you are done fasting you should eat to replenish what you must have lost. Now, as a doctor, what will you recommend?
Yes, thank you, Salwa. It is recommended that during fasting you maintain your balanced diet. And then there are two things you must maintain. Your balanced diet, that is the composition of the food you are eating, containing your carbohydrates, your protein, your fats, your vitamins and minerals. Also,
can you give us example of foods that contain those
yes,
kind
when
of
you say carbohydrates, like your rice, your tuwo, and when you talk about protein, talk about your beans. Your beans contains both protein and carbohydrate. You talk about your lean meat, your fish, your eggs. So these things have to be balanced, and including vegetables. Vegetables are very essential parts of a balanced diet. Then the other important thing in your diet is the quantity, what we call the portion size. Just eat your normal quantity of food that you eat so that you don't overload your system. You don't overwork your liver. So it is important that the quantity of food is your normal size of food. Don't overeat, because that is not even going to make you not to feel hungry the less. So it is important that the quantity of food is your normal size of food. Don't overeat, because that is not even going to make you not to feel hungry the less. So, and make sure that your food contains your normal balanced diet, which we have mentioned, including vegetables. That is for the pre-dawn meal. Then for the iftar, that is during the break of fast at sunset. It is usually preferable to start breaking the fast with lighter meals, because the food pathway has been rested for a long time. So you want to awake it up. So you have to start something light.
Okay, doctor, I didn't hear you say water. Considering the weather now, the weather is hot, in this part of the country, and sunny during the day around this time of the year. What should people watch out for, especially those who take on fasting?
Yes, one of the consequences of fasting is what we call dehydration. That means the water in your system becomes less, which is not healthy. So that is why it is important that you take lots of fluid during the 2 periods that you eat, either before you start the fasting or at the end of the fasting. You must take a lot of fluids so that to reduce your chances of developing dehydration. Also, it is important that during fasting, you reduce strenuous activities in the day. Because when you are involved in strenuous activities, you sweat a lot, and so you are going to get dehydrated easily. So try to avoid strenuous activities. If you are the type that go to the gym or do exercises, try to avoid it during the day. For instance, for the Muslims, for instance, that fast, there is what the Tarawih prayer, the prayer they do in the night. That on its own is a form of exercise for them. So they don't need to do any exercise in the day, because that can increase the chances of developing dehydration. So therefore, it is important that all the people fasting, both the Lent fasting and the Ramadan fasting, they must take enough fluid during the commencement of the fasting and also when they are breaking the fasting.
Okay, doctor, on a final note now, and like we always do on the show, what are the most common misconceptions you have heard about fasting, and how would you like to address that?
Yes, one of the misconceptions, people feel that when they overload their system with food at the commencement of before the commencement of the fasting, that it is going to take them for longer periods, and so they will not feel much hunger during the fasting. But that is not true. When you do that, you are overloading your system, you are overworking your liver, and if you are not careful, you even feel hungry faster because your system is already primed. Your metabolism is increased. So that is not true. So it is better you continue with the normal food, size of food you eat before fasting.
That is moderation.
Yes, moderation and your balanced diet.
Okay. So many thanks, Dr. Yakubu, for coming on Health Option and for your valuable insights.
Thank you, Salwa.
Next is Nature's Corner. On this episode, we take you into the world of organic tea.
Welcome to Nature's Corner. Today we are going to talk about organic infusion. Organic infusion is a kind of tea that is specifically made for this individualized. According to our body chemistry, that means we need a marker that will identify what is beneficial, harmful, and neutral to your blood type. So we now take what is centrally good to all the blood types to produce a kind of tea that people will not react to. So the whole essence of it is our health is what we take in. So, and food is medicine, though it is a paradox too, because food can be poisonous as well, because if you take the wrong one, the one that will counteract against your system, you are bound to face certain ailments. So what we are trying to advise that you go around taking any kind of type of tea. You don't know whether there's something there that may go against your body chemistry. what we are saying now, why can't you gravitate towards the tea that is your own type? Your own type of tea that will now go, and probably also what health target do you want to achieve. Now in the age of IT, ignorance is a choice. You can Google or make your own research and find what bioactive compounds you want to take in and for what health targets you want to achieve. Thank God there's a groundbreaking research now that we actually react to food and herbs and tea according to our blood type. And I think that research has been made by one Peter D. Adamo, which tabulates foods according to different three categories into beneficial, harmful, and neutral. So he categorized the beneficial as medicine, which will help you boost your immune system and probably cure you of diseases. While the neutral ones give you basic energy to go about your daily business. But then the harmful one counteracts against your system. It acts like poison, which may harm you. That's why we are saying, why should you just go for a meeting or for any joint and you take any type of tea? What we do at My Brew is we now take, once we know your blood type, we know what health target you want to achieve, we now curate your tea according to that specific target. Don't you take guava tea for goodness sake? Guava leaves tea? Mommy must have been preparing something like that for you at home. Uncle must have brought some exotic herbs from the bush and they brew it for you at home and take. In Africa, we have more tea than you can get in the whole wide world. And it is part of our culture to be taking tea. It's just that probably we have not been calling it tea. We are waiting for the white man to come and call it tea before we make it. So what I want to do, I want to sensitize people. Instead of taking tea that they have put on the shelf, which has a long life, those things have preservatives. Okay. So we have tea that can balance hormones, balancing of hormones. We have tea that's good for diabetic patients. We have tea that's good for those with high blood pressure. We also have tea for people that are obese. And we have tea people that will have coronary infections and more. God has blessed us with a lot of greens. So what we are saying, go green and let it be your cup of tea. Tea is easy to make. All you need to make tea is hot water. And you infuse those organic things into it and you now take.
This is where we sign out on this week's episode of Health Options. We now know that fasting is the key which unlocks nature's storehouse of energy. But as you yearn for the spiritual and health benefit of fasting, also remember to listen to your body. You can watch these and previous episodes of the program on YouTube at NT Networks. We also look forward to your questions, comments, and suggestions. Thanks for watching. I am Salwa Khalil Ibrahim. See you again next week.